and I booked the overnight radio studio. I didn't book the studio to talk. I booked it because the ON Airlight has no patience for theater. At 11:42 p.m. my phone buzzed with the sentence I'd let myself memorize. Sponsor dinner ran late, quick promo at the station with the team, might crash at the office. Don't wait up. Renee isn't a liar. She is an arranger of truths. She can fold a room into willingness with the same calm she uses on budgets, on volunteers, on the sky when the event moves outdoors and the point of weather seems to be sabotage. We had been good lately in the way well-run meetings are good. Starting on time, ending on time, and forgetting what we were about. The person who made that dangerous was the man every story like this keeps without wanting to. The operations lead who stands one respectful step from married women as if consent were part of his job description. His name is Caleb. He has forearms that make rope behave and a voice that lowers itself when microphones sulk. I admire him in daylight. At midnight my neck calls a vote. The station's night engineer, Gloria, owed me for a Sunday last winter when I hauled a backup generator up 3 flights because the freight elevator had decided to learn humility. You can have Studio B after the midnight weather, she said. 1 hour. No trials after 2. She didn't smile when she said it. Anyone who has babysat an AM transmitter through lightning knows which laws the universe keeps. Studio B is the kind of room people imagine when they put radio in a movie. Rectangles of quiet foam, window to the control booth like an aquarium for nerves, microphones on booms that swing in with the inevitability of questions. I left the desk lamp on and the overheads down. I set 2 mugs on the console like an apology and a dare. Through the glass I could see Gloria's braid and her hand on the fader, a pilot turning a city down to night. Renee came down the corridor at 12:06 with the posture of someone who had spent an entire day making things behave and wanted one room, not 2. Caleb followed, sleeves pushed, tote at his hip. He saw me through the window first and did that small nod good men offer a husband they hope not to become the villain of. He stopped at the threshold. Renee pushed the door and walked in. I watched the red light spill over her collarbones. The body keeps better minutes than any committee. Studio B, she said, standing, not sitting. That's either romance or an indictment. It's a room with a bulb that tells on you, I said. I wanted to see what my mouth could do when it knew better. Caleb rested the tote on the hall table, the exact respectful step back that has kept him employable in a dozen rooms. Need me? He asked Renee, not me. I need you exactly there, she said, pointing to the line where carpet gave up pretending to be hallway and forgot it had ever been outdoors. If I want anything different, I'll say it aloud. He obeyed in the way men do who intend to continue being allowed near other people's lives. The red light hummed. Say it, I told Renee. In an elevator, she said, because apparently the universe refuses to update its script. 2 weeks ago, between floors and nouns, I kissed him. It was quick and mint and rehearsal. He stepped back. He said my name like a lock. I hated him for being correct. I hated me for admiring him for it. Do you want me to hit him? I asked, as if laws existed here that didn't answer to electricity and breath. I want you to choose me, she said, not as rescue, as appetite. Gloria slid us the quiet between forecast and obituary. The lamp made a tired circle on the board that reminded me how many decisions in this city are made by people who have to be kind and precise at the same time. Renee sat on the rolling chair and let it drift a foot toward me, the sort of movement that registers on seismographs if the operator knows where to look. Invite me when you're interesting, I said, the sentence I had learned to prefer to threats. I am inviting you, she said. Put your hand on my wrist and prove it. I did, 2 fingers on the soft where pulse means it. Her shoulders let go of a chamber I hadn't asked to be in, and I remembered I used to know where to stand without a diagram. I stepped in. The boom swung with me as if microphones had always been bodies pretending to be furniture. I kissed her. Not like confession, like jurisdiction. She answered the way a station answers when the storm slams the window and the transmitter blinks and the voice refuses to be frightened in the air. Caleb stayed in the hall because that is the kind of man he has decided to be. He looked at the floor, not at us. If he let himself listen for long enough to make a memory of it, he did not admit it to his face. "We keep our clothes," I said, mouth at the corner of her jaw. "We keep our life. We stop pretending mercy is the only flavor we know." "Agreed," she said, breath catching on the consonant. "The red light can notarize that much." I slid my palm down her side to the waist where fabric hints at law and stopped, not because I wanted to, but because I did. She hooked 2 fingers in my belt and tugged exactly once, the way a conductor tells a section to come in with their whole bodies. The ON air bulb made a soft heat against my cheek through the glass. In the booth, Gloria took off her headphones and rested them on the console as if to keep them from hearing more than they deserved. "Do you still want to hit him?" Renat asked while we remembered that mouths are tools you can rebuild without parts. "I want to thank him for stepping back," I said, "and I want to owe him nothing else." "That's a budget we can live inside," she said. She told me the truth I didn't earn and she didn't owe. The elevator had felt like standing near a door that practiced saying her name. The stopping had been the only part she liked in daylight. The almost I could feel in her skin tonight had been a dare to see which direction she still knew how to run. I told her about the night last month when I drove to a motel and sat in the lot with a key I never used because I thought I needed evidence to live with my heart, and discovered I only needed new verbs. We didn't trade formal charges. We inventoried the things we had decided not to do and loved each other for the weight of them. "Say something into the mic," she said suddenly, mischief and ache sharing a syllable. "Something I want to remember if we forget how to be brave." I reached and pulled the boom down until the metal breathed near my mouth. The red eye watched. "Renat," I said in the careful voice radio teaches, "come find me when a room makes you interesting. I will stand where you stand. I will not mistake competence for permission. I will not let mercy be the only weather on my forecast." "That'll do," she said, kissing the word forecast like a currency that finally made sense. Gloria slid the fader up and back down without sending it anywhere. You don't need an audience for fidelity. You only need a witness who knows what a switch owes a sentence. The red light approved. We cooled off in the corridor like reasonable people who had remembered how to be expensive. Caleb shifted his weight with the awkward grace of a man determined not to audition for extraction. "I'll be at the center at 9, he said. "I'll lift tables, not nouns." He nodded to me as if returning a borrowed tool. I nodded back like a man who intended not to ask that tool for anything it wasn't designed to do. At 9, the community center smelled like lemons pretending they know the future. Volunteers moved like modest weather. Caleb stacked tables in a rhythm that taught gravity which parts of it were negotiable. Renam moved through the room with a clipboard and a mouth that persuaded busy people to breathe before they lifted. When she passed me, she touched my wrist, daylight legal, and the morning picked a side without a sermon. We did the kind of work you can't dramatize because it saves lives only in small ways. Labels straightening, cables rolling, donors being quietly told where their names belonged so they could do the least harm. Across the room, Caleb and I met each other's eyes once, and that was enough. The nod we exchanged said that the elevator had not learned our names the wrong way, that the studio had done its job, that the line between appetite and arrogance, though not visible to cameras, had been found and sanded. We never told anyone about Studio B. We didn't need to. We taped the printed rundown of the midnight hour to the side of our fridge under the magnet shaped like a ridiculous boat we bought one summer we didn't ruin. Sometimes, when our house auditions for courtroom, we drive to the station and sit in the lobby chairs like people who once believed in radio, because it let them feel their bodies without requiring photographs. Sometimes she texts come and means stand next to me, while I bend a room into competence and beauty. Sometimes I text come and mean watch me be a body before I become a plan. Sometimes we listen outside the door to somebody else's late-night confession and let it walk past us unmolested, because we have learned that truth does not need witnesses half as often as it needs rooms without furniture so people can breathe. We didn't stop admiring other people's competence. We did stop confusing it with permission. Heat is a temperature, not a verdict. We eat before we try to win. We sleep when the clock loses its manners. We put our hands on each other in daylight as if the sun still issues licenses. And when the city asks whether we have anything to add, we say the only thing the red bulb ever wants you to say: no trials after 2. Then we go home in the kind of silence that attends to what it carries, switch off the lamp without performing generosity, and sleep under a forecast brave enough to predict weather, not mercy.